I'm just trying to get the link so I can tweet it. Oh, also I think I haven't made the stream public. Help either. Try that out. Let me make it public. Public. I think that'll work. And refresh here, maybe, I think. I don't know what's going on here. Here we go. There we go. Now I can get a link. It actually. Cool. Pretty sure that worked. Awesome. Cool. So, oh, I don't think I want to show that. Maybe not. Okay. All right, cool. So I'm there's a video that I'm trying to upload tomorrow morning, and I have yet to finish actually editing the video. So I'm trying to finish that out, and I thought it would be a good idea to go live to try to do that for some reason. I've never done a live stream, so I thought we could try it. I don't know if anybody, I don't actually know how to tell if anyone's in the live stream. I have the what do you call it, the chat window. So if you want to send a chat, let me get it where I can see it. I'll be able to see it. But it is also 11 o'clock at night where I live, so yeah. Anyways, this is the video so far. It's about probably an hour and 16 minutes to start with, and I'm editing it down to get it where I want it to be. I've made it about 22 minutes of the way so far. So I'm just gonna try to finish it the rest of the way. If anyone's interested. Actually, I don't know what I was gonna say. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to do that. This is Premiere Pro. This is my I guess NLE of choice would be the way to say it. The main reason why is because I can do something like this and spread out the workspace over several monitors, which is very, very helpful. It's kind of the main reason why people who like to edit use a lot of monitors. A lot of times if you go and you look at people who edit a whole lot of video, they're going to have 2, 3, 4, maybe more monitors, and it's because if you're using an NLE like Avid or Premiere that really lets you make the NLE your own, this is that's really going to help out, mainly because you can do stuff like take bins and sort of pop them out and just lay them out all over the place and very easily see all of your different like media items that you need to work with. It's pretty helpful to get sort of a bird's eye view of all the media that you're working with. And also just there's a lot of things that might come up during the process of editing video. I've got audio monitoring over here. I've got source material so that I can look through and mark in and out points before I drop a clip into the timeline. Obviously a viewer up here. But honestly, maybe the most helpful thing that you can do is just sort of drag a viewer off to a window. Maybe we'll stick it. Where am I trying to put it? I'm trying to put it right here. There we go. And then I can sort of have a full screen view over here of what I'm editing, and have a full screen view of the timeline over here. And that way I can really easily have a lot of room to mess with the timeline, but also very largely see the actual video that I'm trying to create. So there we go. Okay, so I actually can't monitor the audio and edit at the same time, I have to use the headphones to hear the audio output. So, all right. So I guess we'll just go ahead and get started here. The main thing that I'm doing right now is it's sort of a weird editing setup. I've got some source footage under here, like standard setup, just a screen recording, and this webcam footage with the audio synced up. The weird thing is I've got this timeline running in the, I'm going to drag this over here for a second. It'll be easier to see. Just look at one monitor. I've got this time code thing running here because I'm doing a weird thing where I'm trying to time what I'm doing in the video. So I'm sort of having to cut and then cut the timeline because it's not sort of one synchronous thing. I can't just have the time running the whole time. I need to make cuts during the actual time code that's running up here. So I guess we'll do that. User/bin/z is installed now. So what we can do now is user add -m, which is going to create a home group. -g would add any additional groups. I'll show you why in just a second. And it's a login shell, and we're going to select /user/bin/z, which we just installed. And then we would just want to give this user a username, which is going to be Mac. And so this is sort of the name of the game with editing for my videos, which is going to be Mac. I just sort of edit out all the bullshit. I'm using Q and W are the keys that I have mapped to cut an edit to the beginning and cut an edit to the end. And then R should just cut. That's how I've mapped it. So I can sort of, let me come to the end and I can sort of show you if I have a bit of blank space here. Yeah, so like maybe with this bit here, what I can do is I can make a cut. And then a lot of times you'd have to make a cut and you could sort of drag it up and then drag the other clip to cover it. Or sometimes you could just do something like Shift D, which will delete and fill the space. But what we can actually do even easier is if I were to hit like Q, I can sort of just cut it to the end of the clip. If you can kind of, I think you can sort of see what's going on there. I've broken things a bit here, but yeah, we're back to where we started now. Okay, cool. So give this user a username, which is going to be Mac. And then we can go ahead and do password Mac. Give our user a password. Again, make sure it's very secure. It's a great idea. Probably good there. We just need to do editor equals there. Idea. Probably good there. We just need great idea. What I was doing there. Probably good there. We just need to do editor equals invim, and then we want to do v sudo. Hit capital G to come down to the bottom of the file. And what we're looking for here are one of two different lines. The first one is going to be wheel all equals all, and the second one is going to be wheel all equals all, no password. What this is going to do is allow users of that password. What this is going to do is allow users of that wheel group, which we just added this new user to execute super user commands. And then you can also do it without a password. So do it without a password. So what that means, that doesn't mean that you don't have to put any user password or anything. This is another, a lot of times these weird cuts pop up. A lot of times these weird cuts pop up. Like if you listen really closely here, there's going to be sort of a pop without a password. where that edit takes place. And a lot of times what you can do is you can just do a really, really short transition in between the two audio clips. Then you can also do it without a password. And that'll cover it up pretty well. Usually I sort of just do a little tiny 2-frame transition between basically every audio clip at the end of the editing process without a password. So what that means, that doesn't mean that you don't have to put any user password or anything. It just means that like when you run like sudo super user commands, and then you can also do it without execute super user commands. I think I probably need the timer now here. Oh shit. Is user add -m, which /z is installed now. So what we can do now is user add -m, which is going to create a home group. -g with adding additional groups, which we do want to do. We want to add this user to a wheel group. I'll show you why in just a second. And we want to use -s to select a login shell. And we're going to /user/bin/z, which we just installed. And then we would just want to give this user a username, which is going to be Mac. And we can go ahead and do password Mac. Give our user a password. Again, make sure it's very secure. It's a great idea. We're probably good there. We just need to do editor equals invim, and then we want to do v-sudo. Hit capital G to come down to the bottom of the file, and what we're looking for here are one of two different lines. The first one is going to be wheel all equals all, and the second one is going to be wheel all equals all, no password. What this is going to do is allow users of that wheel group, which we just added this new user to execute super user commands, and then you can also do it without a password. So what that means, that doesn't mean you don't have to put any user password or anything. It just means that like when you run like sudo pacman added this new user to execute super user, it's going to be wheel all equals all, and the second one is going to come down to the bottom of the file, and what we're looking for here are one of two different, which we just added this user password or anything. It just means that like when you run like sudo pacman -s to try and install pacman -s to try and install an app, you don't have to do you don't have to then type install an app. You don't have to then type in a root password to install apps. You just are granted those privileges without having to provide the root user password again, because our OS is basically treating you not like you are the root user, but like you're friends with them. You're really you're friends with them. You're really good friends with them. They trust you. So I do typically like you are the root user, but like you're friends with them. You're really good friends with them. They trust you. I do typically do wheel without a password, just because I mean this is a password, just because I mean this is a home system. If I was trying to be like super secure or something, if it was a laptop, maybe not the best idea, but yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Go ahead and exit here. Go ahead and exit here. And what do we want to do now? Let's just go ahead and do sudo. Go ahead and exit here, and what do we want to do now? Let's just go. let's just go ahead and do sudo pacman-syu. Okay, so then what I'm doing with this timer here, kind of terrible, is it's running, and then at some points I need to stop it. So what you can do is just come to the last frame, and then I'll go back one frame, cut it, drag the clip out, and then I can freeze the first frame. And what we're looking for so that it's running out of the bottom of the file, and then it stops when I no longer want the timer running, and then I'll just drag this out until the point where I want the timer to start running again, which is right up around here somewhere. And let's just go ahead and do sudo pack. All right, yeah, so it's going to be about right here. I'll stop it right there. I'll drag the timer back on once I get this. Sudo pacman-syu. Or no, you know what? Actually, what we should do is we should move to our new user now. So let's exit. My installer is freezing up like crazy here for some reason. So we'll go ahead and exit. Or no, you know what? Actually, and let's just go ahead and do sudo pacman-syu. Or no, you know what? Actually, what we should do is we should move to our new user now. So let's exit. So we'll go ahead and exit. Our new. So we'll go ahead and exit to our new user now. So we'll go ahead and exit, and go and exit. And then we'll log in as Mac, give it the password. This is just Z stuff, ignore that. We'll quit and do nothing. And then what we can do, this is just Z stuff. It's Mac, give it the password. And then what we can do is we're going to do and it's Mac, give it the password. And then what we can do is we're going to do sudo pacman-syu. And let's just go ahead and do sudo. Actually, what we should do our new user now. So we'll go ahead and exit, and then what we can do is we're going to do sudo pacman-syu, just to make sure that all the software that we have is up to date, and then we'll go up to date, and then we'll go crazy doing some other cool stuff. Okay. Luckily, this video has a whole lot of long gaps in it. Oh, hey, there's people here now. Cool. Thanks for coming in here, guys. I know it's super late. I don't know why I thought this would be a good idea. Actually, I'm just editing a video. Okay, so there's nothing to do. Cool. Up to date, and then we'll go crazy doing some other cool stuff. So we'll go. Okay. There's no sound. Some other cool stuff. Okay, so there's nothing to do. Let me check that real quick. Got my phone here. I can hear sound on my phone. I had I've got a noise gate on really quickly, so if I'm not talking and there's not audio playing here, that might be it might sound really quiet. Is it a VM? No, it's not. And we can go crazy here. I have trouble getting Windows software to work in a VM, really. So I just boot over to Windows to edit most of the time. And we can go crazy here. So, let's try to create an SSH key really quickly. So we'll do SSH. Oh, let's. I think I didn't end up SSH key. Do SSH-HTECDSA-B. It's not strictly speaking necessary, but if I was doing this on my main, and I'm just doing this because this is how I like to manipulate Git files. It is just a virtual machine, so I probably will go ahead and download them with HTTPS. It's asking us for a password here. I'm going to delete this SSH key in a second, but if you want to try to use, and I think that's it, really. So what I'm going to go ahead and Okay. So what I'm going to go and do is if I list out the files here in my home directory, I should have basically next to. So if I list out the files in my home directory, you can see I have nothing here. So if I do, cool, that means everything's up to date, and we can go crazy here. So what I want to go and do is make a directory called repo. What I want to go and do is make a directory called repo, where I want to store my .files. If I list now, I have that directory. I can cd into that directory. And then what I'm going to go and do is I'm going to do git clone from https://github.com/mac/dot, which are my .files, which is what I use to customize a lot of the command line apps. And then I'm going to do latest one, I think is how you do it, which should just pull down. Oh, sorry, no, that's not what I meant to do. It should pull down just the most recent commits. What I meant to do, pull down the most one, I think is how. One, and then I'm going to do latest one, I think is how you do it, which should just. Oh, sorry, no. Oh, sorry, no. No, that's not what I. Oh, sorry. That's not what I meant to do. I meant to do depth one, which should pull down just the most recent commits, so that I'm not downloading the entire Git history. Which again, if I was downloading this on a main production machine, I would want the entire history, but I don't. Here, I just want to download sort of the quickest version. Okay, and then here, I just want to download sort of the quickest version. Or no, you know what? Actually, what we should do is we should move to our new user now. So quickest version. Downloading this on a main production, most recent commits. What I meant to do, depth one, which should pull down just the most. If I was downloading this on a main production machine, I would want the entire history, but I don't. Here, I just want to download sort of the quickest version. Okay. And then what do we do? We'll go back into our home directory. Okay. All right, so we'll go ahead and do ls-la to list all of our files here. And now what we can do is link from that. We actually kill the audio. All right. And then what do we do? Download sort of the quickest version. And then machine, I would want the entire directory. Come on, bitch. Work. Maybe I should kill the audio. All right, so we'll go ahead and do ls-la directory. All right, so we'll go ahead and do ls-la. What do we do? We'll go back into our home directory. All right, so we'll go ahead and do ls. All right, so we'll go ahead and home directory, do ls-la to list all of our files here, and now what we can do is link from that repo .folder that I just created. So what I'll do is I'll do ln-sf and I'll link from repo .config and drop that config and drop that into our home directory. Drop it here. And then I'll do the same thing with repo scripts repo scripts. Drop it here. Drop it here. And you can see sort of what that's doing if I list again, it's creating links so that we can access those files, but they're still Git control. Actually, I'm reading the comments here. You made what is that, a bit in awesome, so you can move all of the, oh, I see what you're saying. So you move all the windows to one monitor and then unplug a second monitor. That's pretty dope. If you have Dotfile somewhere, I'd love to look at that. That's cool. Like, I don't really have a use for that. I don't use a laptop very often, but it's still cool. I think a lot of people are using laptops with an external monitor. Files, but they're still Git. But they're here, and you can see sort of what that's doing if I list again, it's creating links so that we can access those files, but they're still Git controlled. So we'll do ln-sf from repo .git config, maybe link that here, link that here, and we'll do here, and we'll do link up my Zeesh settings. That's always fun. Come on. No, the VM kept freezing up while I was trying to record this for some reason. I think I installed VirtualBox the wrong way, and I didn't notice until I was already recording the video. So there's a lot of just me sitting here waiting, typing something into the VM, and then it not working, and then me waiting for it to show up, and then be like, oh, so now you want to type in this. I already typed it in like 5 minutes. It's a really, really long edit. I think the original, oh yeah, here I can see it here, the original footage was 1 hour and 22 minutes, and I don't know, we'll see how long the actual video ends up. .zeeshrc should and then if I actually do source config. I kind of hate editing videos, but every time I can successfully cut out like a little or and, I get a little bit excited and I'm ready to keep going for a few more minutes. I can't stand editing videos. It's my least favorite thing in the world. And then if I actually do source.config /zeesh .zeesh source.config .zeeshrc /zeesh.zeeshrc. You can use it when you're playing Yeah. Should be able to reach RC. Should be able to reload Zeesh now. And cool, we've got some prompts here. And then what do we need to do here? We need to go ahead and let's do set up the AUR. So we're going to do set up the AUR. So we're going to do get clone https colon slash dot arch colon slash AUR dot arch linux dot org slash yay dot get dot org slash yay dot get. Ooh. That's do its thing, then we'll cd. Let that do its thing. I gotta drag this here because one of the weird things was that the download time stuff wasn't supposed to be included in the actual timer on the Arch install. I want to make sure I don't include any of that. Let that do its get. Let that do its thing, then we'll cd into the yay folder. Okay. Did I actually make a cut there? I can't. Yeah, I did. Out. Let that do its thing, then we'll cd into the yay folder. Okay. I know there was some weird stuff with me having to disable something in my RC for this to work right, so. And then once we're inside, son of a bitch, it's gonna kill me. And then once we're inside of that, yay folder, what we can do is make package, make package. Package is we'll do make package that yay folder. What we can do is make package is we'll do make pack together real quick. And then once we're inside of that yay folder, what we can do is make package dash si. Hit enter. Hit enter. Hit enter. And this is going to go ahead and build yay for us. Okay, so also the kind of thing I wouldn't want to have on the timer. Well, no, I guess building an app should be on the timer because that's not really a network speed dependent. Hit enter, and this is going to go ahead and build yay for us. And go ahead and give us the option to install it. Oh, okay, never mind. As a download go and stuff, yeah, so I'll cut that out. That won't be. Still a text in here. I was always excited when you see a new video. Cool. I'm always excited when people watch it. I don't think I actually explained what the premise for this video was. It's a Arch Linux install guide. But like an actual somewhat knowledgeable one, not like the ones that I've done before. And I put a timer on it just so that it could sort of be like a semi very slow speed run, and there'd be some sort of gimmick. I don't know why it's kind of ended up being a pain in the ass to have to edit the timer in, but that's what I'm doing here. I'm just putting together the video and then trying to make sure the timer starts and stops when it needs to, so that I'm not including download time or me talking or anything else as part of the total time that it's supposed to be taking to install our build yay for us. And go ahead and give us the option to install it. Oh, like totally exiting the VM for some. And then finally, and go ahead and give us the option to install it. And then finally, what we can do is just install some apps to get everything set up here. So I think I'm actually pretty close to done with the edit. There's roughly 15 or 10 minutes or something less. This is 45 minutes is the total right now. 25 minutes in, so like 20 minutes. But a lot of that is going to be dead space that I can cut out, I'm pretty sure. So I'm cautiously optimistic, and I'm pretty close to done editing there. And then finally, what we can do is just install some apps to get everything set up here. So, and then finally, we can do our last. And then finally, what we can do. And then finally, we can do our last pool of apps to get everything installed. It crashed right as I was finishing everything installed. It crashed right as I was finishing installing Yay, but Yay did finish installing. So what we're gonna do is Yay -s and we'll install it well. So what we're gonna do is Yay -s and we'll install it well. Actually, let's do Pacman -s. What we're gonna do is Yay -s and we'll install it well. Actually, let's do Pacman. So what we're gonna do is Pacman. That's a rough. What we're gonna do is Pacman. So what we're gonna do is Yay -s and we'll install it well. Actually, let's do Pacman. Sudo Pacman -s and we're gonna do is Yay for that installed. So what we're gonna do is sudo do is installed. So what we're gonna do is sudo Pacman. So what we're gonna do is sudo Pacman -s and I'm okay with -s and we're gonna install awesome. We're gonna need a browser. I'm gonna do Firefox. We're gonna need a terminal. I'm gonna do a terminal. I'm gonna do Alacrity. And Alacrity, and I'm gonna do Alacrity, and I'm gonna do Alacrity, and it's probably a good start. Maybe I'll grab D menu as well. Probably a good start. A terminal. I'm gonna do Alacrity, and terminal. I'm gonna do Alacrity. Maybe I'll grab D menu as well. And I was gonna ask us to pick some fonts. Then we just let that install. It's gonna be, again, it's another one of these sort of big. Package pulls, but shouldn't take too terribly long to install. And then I'm gonna pull a couple of things from the AUR, and we'll be all set. To install, and then I'm gonna pull a couple of things from the package pulls, but shouldn't take too terribly long to install. Then we just let that install. Maybe I'll grab D menu and fonts. that. Then we just let that grab D menu as well. Then we just let that install. It's gonna be, again, it's another one of these sort of big package pulls, but it shouldn't take too terribly long to install. And then I'm gonna pull a couple. Shouldn't take too terribly long to install. Too terribly long to install. Terribly long to install. A lot more here that I can cut out. And then we can go ahead and do yay -s and let's install. Actually, let me search for the PyCom fork that I. Yeah, I don't know why I'm trying to install PyCom. PyCom isn't going to work. I think I'm just going to cut that out of the video entirely. That was sort of a dumb thing to do. So what am I installing? I'm installing a nerd font. Again, fonts aren't really necessary in this sort of thing, I don't think. What? Okay, so yeah, I don't need to include stuff that's sort of not really necessary here. Oh, I do need to do polybar. So. Look at that. All the editing I've done. All this big chunk of stuff I got left. This is why I don't like editing. It's just, it seems like an insurmountable task until you get really, really far into it. And then once you get really deep into the video, one more thing I forgot to do. Yay. Oh, that's gone way off the screen. Okay, cool. One more thing I forgot. Flips back up. One more thing I forgot to do. Yay -s polybar. Polybar. That's basically a guaranteed necessity. Okay. Install. One more thing I forgot to do. Yay -s polybar. That's basically a guaranteed necessity for one of my setups. Don't need you to 26. It does. For somehow polybar is the thing that took the longest to install. I might have installed like the entire base and Linux firmware and all of that main install before I managed polybar here. I mean, to be fair, it's also coming from the AUR, so it has to build the app as well, but still, this is ridiculous. I'm going to cut out a huge chunk of the video here, just getting rid of all this. The fuck? favorite thing I've ever bought. This is the just talking about my shoe on camera now. This is like my favorite thing I've ever bought. This is the one of, I guess I'll leave that. Of two. You know what I can compare Arch Linux to? Guaranteed necessity for one of my setups. You know what I can compare Arch Linux to? Check this out. This is check this out. This is one of this is like my favorite of out. This is like my favorite thing I've ever bought. This is the one of two. This is the one of two. Let me see if I can maybe fit the soul in there. You can maybe see the name of it. There's no way in hell you're gonna see this. This is a Alden 405. Like my favorite thing I've ever bought. This is a Alden 405. This is the shoe. This is the shoe that Indiana Jones wore. That Indiana wore. That Indiana 5. This is the shoe that Indiana Jones wore in the Indiana Jones films. In the Indiana Jones films, at least the original trilogy. Indiana Jones wore, at least the original trilogy. Oh, yeah. So all of a sudden this video is going to be like under half an hour now. That's great. That's the craziest thing about my videos is I always end up recording for like 40 minutes, 50 minutes, an hour, and then I manage to get like a 25-minute video out of it, which is fine. I don't want to make absurdly long videos, but it's just that's how bad I am at recording a video, is that I record, my record time is basically double of what's actually uploaded. It's the original trilogy. I know there's some people who are like Linux YouTubers who have weird allergy to editing videos or think you shouldn't edit videos, but if I didn't edit my videos, there is zero chance anyone would sit through them. It's a great shoe, and I mean, in theory, maybe it won't last your lifetime, but as long as you properly take care of that, you know, you really should never need to buy. You really should never buy. It sort of ends the cycle of like, it sort of won't last your lifetime, but as long as you properly take care of that, it sort of ends the cycle of like, well, it's another year. Well, it's another year, so let me buy another shoe because I just walked through the other one I had. You know, you'll take it and get it resold, or you'll take it and get it resold, or put a new insole in it, or maybe get some rivets repaired or something in it every once in a while. And they're good. I rip through laces all the time. I have to go and get those Kevlar tied up real fast, and Arch Linux is a great OS. But It's a great shoe, and destroy laces, but tie it up real fast and just tie it up real fast and destroy all the time. Tie it up real fast and destroy laces, but it's a great shoe. And Arch Linux is a great OS, which we are now ready to boot into what I would consider to be a usable version of Arch. So, hey, really close to the end. Whoa, man. I've been putting off editing this video for probably like 2 days. I've gotten into a weird habit of wanting to finish a video like the day before I want to upload it. I don't know why. That's a really, really bad idea, but that's what I've been into recently. Two steps. Listen closely here. So, 2 steps. Listen closely. Listen closely here. Step 1. Step 1. In Vim, create a new file called X. In Vim, create a new. Step 1. In Vim, closely here. Step 1. In Vim, called RC. In this file called xinit.rc. In Vim, create a new file called xinit.rc. In this file, type in exec. Awesome. Awesome. Save and quit. Step 1.5. If running start X doesn't work for you, if running start X doesn't work for you, oh, I see. Create a new file called xinit5. If save and quit. Step 1.5. If running start X doesn't work for you, do yourself a favor and run sudo pacman-s xorg init and xorg server. Org xinit and xorg server. Every once in a while I run into that problem. Doing this fixes it. But now this fixes it. But now while I run into that problem doing this. That's a video about the one. It's an Arch Linux install guide. But a more what's cooking? Does it sound like something's cooking? Oh, you know what? That's probably the free air conditioner in here. It's ridiculously loud. Under that problem, doing this fixes it. But now, oh, but the video is a Arch Linux install guide, with like a timer on it, like a slow speed run, I guess is what you would call it. Just sort of like a complete deal, not like just let's install Arch and get to a point where we have a command line. But like get an actual window manager and stuff installed to get it to a usable state and see how long that takes, which by the looks of it is going to be a little over 12 or 13 minutes, which is shorter than I thought. I mean, that's without download time. So, I mean, obviously you have to add on some download time to that, but certainly is not as long as some people might think once you've done it a few times and you know what you're doing. But now we can go ahead and run start x, start x, and run start. But now we can go ahead and run start x. Okay, so we're in, and I'm adjusting the screen resolution here or something like that. So let me just find a spot where we're like ready to go. I can cut out another decently sized chunk of video here probably. Our resolution is going to be a little funky, so we can go ahead and try to run a. And done. Grid. Let's see here. We'll kill polybar, and let me go into the config. There. Maybe we'll run. Let's go ahead and do yay. And then let's go ahead and do sudo pacman face. And in the meantime, maybe we can open up Firefox here. Do yay. That again. Seem to work. Let's go ahead and do yay. And then let's go ahead and do sudo start x. And then let's go ahead and do sudo, or let's do boo. And then let's go ahead and do sudo, or let's do sudo pacman -s, sudo pacman -s. Do sudo, or let's do sudo pacman -s and install poly, or oh shit. I'm gonna hit that mic like a million times. The ones that are an hour long are basically useless. I don't know if they're useless, but I definitely don't like watching them. I'd rather read the wiki too. It's a bit, well, I think maybe if you've never done it, they're useful. But like I used to just watch them for fun when I was on macOS and I really wanted to switch to Linux, but I couldn't. I would just like watch them when I was fantasizing, I guess, about moving to Linux. And so it's good for that. I don't know. I just don't understand why so many of them are like split into multiple parts, and they're like, let me show you how to install Arch Linux. So they go through the whole process and then they stop as soon as you have like a user account and you've technically installed Arch. And you don't have a window manager, you don't have any apps, you don't have any GUI interface or whatever, which I know some people maybe just use Arch with the command line in the TTY, but come on, almost everyone's gonna have some sort of GUI setup. And then let's go ahead and do sudo, or let's do sudo pacman -s and install poly, or face -s and install poly and install -s and install face so that I can set a wallpaper. And in the meantime, maybe we can open up Firefox here. Good here. Good. And we can set GTK themes and stuff. For now, maybe we'll just download some wallpapers. If you're looking for something like that, I can help you out here. I've got a collection of sort of neon style funky ass wallpapers you can download. I'll rep my own brand own brand here, just because I can. Brand here, just because I can. X, and then let's go and X. Okay. So I think, yeah, I think the final time here is going to be 12 minutes and 41 seconds, as far as like how long I'm saying it takes to install art to get to a usable state, which again, that doesn't include download time, so if it sounds sort of low, then let's go and do, it is sort of low. It will take longer than that, but probably with download time and everything, we're really not looking at much more than, I don't know, half an hour, an hour. Get a collection of scale of this time code thing a bit. We're really close to the end of the video here, so I'll just play it in a second because I need to watch it back anyways, and everyone that's here can see it ahead of time before it publishes, if that's something you're interested in. You can download. I'll rep my own brand here just because I can. And maybe we'll also do a sudo. Maybe we'll also do a sudo and install Ranger. File manager I like to use. Maybe sudo pacman-s install unzip. So we'll cd into downloads, unzip the MAKC. Downloads. There we go. Got a nice wallpaper now. Looking pretty good. There we go. Got a nice wallpaper. And -s and also do a and there we go. Got a nice wallpaper now. Looking pretty good. Maybe we can go ahead and kill Polybar. Good. Maybe we can. I keep trying to kill Polybar. I don't know what I'm doing. And hey, you know what? This looks pretty good. For now, looking pretty good. And hey. And hey, you know what? Got a nice wallpaper now. And hey, you know what? This looks. Hey, you know what? This looks pretty good. There's a few things. There's a few things that aren't going to work just because I'm in the VN, like transparency and stuff. PyCom doesn't work in the VN. PyCom doesn't work in the VM because I just don't have the settings set up right, and I'm too lazy to fix it. But I mean, honestly, for the most part, this isn't a bad way to work here. I mean, I've got just about everything I need. For the most part, this isn't a bad way to wallpaper now. Oh shit. I mean, I've got just about everything I need here. Okay, so I guess I readjusted the screen recording in OBS or something. It's how do I make a subsequent? Cover all that up. Oh shit, no, that won't work. Gotta actually adjust and copy the. So fine. There is a way to just copy and paste, like transform controls or something, but I always forget how to do it. This looks pretty good. There's a few things that aren't going to work just because I'm in the VM, like transparency and stuff. PyCom doesn't work in the VM because I just don't have the settings set up right and I'm too lazy to fix it. But I mean, honestly, for the most part, this isn't a bad way to work here. I mean, I've got just about everything I need here. I mean, let's be straight. For most people, all you really need is a. I mean, let's be straight. For most people, all you really need is a browser, and we got that right there. But you know, maybe, but if this, but and we got that right there. But if there's any other apps you can need, I'll just sort of collect them. As I need them. I don't have like a mass list of stuff that I install on every new system or anything crazy like that. Um, yeah, I don't know. This seems like a. Yeah, I don't know. This seems like a. This seems like enough. Install, and I'm crazy like that. This seems like enough of an install, and I'm happy saying like, okay, I can get now. I don't have to. I can get to work now. I don't have to worry about getting stuff installed anymore. So I guess we'll. We'll call it quits. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope this was. See you in the next one. See you in the next one. Okay, that is the end of the video, I think. Yeah. So I'll drag the timer out, and then what I've been doing sort of recently is I redid my end card. Where is it? Here it is. So that it will sort of overlay itself over the video as it's ending. See you in the next one. Okay, and then I just need to scale this down. I'm doing this video at 1080p. I usually try to work at 4K, but with the VM, there was just no way to reasonably record an Arch install at 4K. That would have been ridiculous. Okay, and then I've got some audio here to drop in. Where is it? B-roll. Here's the audio that I'm using for this video. I think a few people have asked me before where I get audio from. It's well, I don't know. I feel like somebody's asked me that. I don't actually know for sure. I feel like they have. Musicvine is the audio service that I use, and I paid for this subscription for a while, but a little while ago they released a like sort of smaller website called Upbeat with like a cheaper subscription, and you can actually use some of the website from this music for free as long as you like link to where you got it from or whatever. I forget what the deal is, but this is where I get music for most of my videos from. And then I had a friend that made some audio for a video when I was in high school a while ago. So those are the two sources. So I'm just going to sort of grab an output and an endpoint here, line it up with the end of the video, figure out where I want it to cut off. Enough. How the did I get back here? Can't go. Okay, so at the level there, have it just fade to 0 so it doesn't cut off, and then I'll also fade the opacity of the end card. Okay. And we just need to sync up this with to overlay underneath the video. So we'll have it be at full volume when the end card, well actually about halfway through the end card, full volume. Keyframe there, and then maybe we'll come to the beginning of this last point and bring it down. -25, I think, is usually a pretty good decibel level with the volume that I talk at. Let's see. I guess we'll call it quits. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you in the next one. Okay, that might be, but I think it'll be. Let's give it a listen. Necessity for one of my setups. You know what I can compare Arch Linux to? Check this out. Just walked through the other one I had. You know, you'll take it and get it resold, or put a new insole in it, or maybe get some rivets repaired. That's basically a guaranteed necessity for one of my setups. You know what I can compare Arch Linux to? Check this out. This is like my favorite thing I've ever bought. This is a Alden 405. This is the shoe that Indiana Jones wore, at least the original trilogy. It's a great shoe, and I mean, in theory, maybe it won't last your life. Version of Arch. So, 2 steps fixes it. But now we can go ahead and run start X, and then let's go ahead and do sudo now. Maybe we'll just download some wallpapers. If you're stuff that I install on every new system or anything crazy like that. This seems like enough of an install, and I'm happy. We'll bring it down. -30, just to be on the safe side. He's saying like, okay, I can get to work now. I don't. So I guess we'll call it quits. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you in the next one. Okay, so I think that video's done. The last thing that I'll do before I rewatch it is I just want to select everything, make sure none of the footage is linked up, and then I'm going to grab all of the audio, and I have a shortcut by come in here and zoom in so you can actually see. If I hit Shift D, is going to put a tiny 2-frame transition in between every single audio clip, which should make sure that there's no sort of sharp cutting in between bits of dialogue. Sometimes with a lot of jump cuts, that can be super annoying to watch. And then I'm ready to go ahead and just watch it here. Let's maybe we can, oh, I lost my face. Put you there, put that there. I think the keyboard shortcut I'm looking for is Control tilde. We'll go full screen. There we go. You might be able to hear expletives. It's from my roommates, probably up all night playing GT. So center that horizontal. Oh, nope, that's not what I wanted to do. I want to center vertically. It doesn't matter. Whatever. Go ahead. Let's just max out the desktop audio, kill my audio, and we can watch this. Thanks for everyone who tuned in here to watch this. I didn't think anyone would watch it. I not very many people did, but I was just needed to edit a video. I thought I'd try out a live stream. So go ahead and watch it. It'll be live at 8 a.m. tomorrow anyway. Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to another new video. Today we're going to do a Arch Linux install guide. Turkey 101, by the way. Can't go wrong there. If you are familiar with my channel, you might be slightly surprised by that, seeing as I have done actually a two-part Arch Linux install guide in the past. The thing is, that particular Arch install guide was a very weird scenario, and I think it was a decent video, probably, maybe, I don't know, but the whole premise of it was basically sort of an experiment. I was basically just moving from macOS with intermediate-ish understanding of how to use the command line and trying to install one of the most anorectic, I don't know if that's a word, Linux operating systems out there. The thing is, seeing as a huge part of my YouTube channel now is Linux videos, and the base for almost all of those videos is this incredible operating system known as Arch Linux, I thought we could do a little bit better and do an actual proper install guide now that I've done the installation process 5, 6, 7, 8, probably 10 or more times now. Enough times that I know much more. So let's go ahead and do that here. This is the most up-to-date Arch ISO as of August 5th, 2021. I think I actually downloaded it yesterday, so we might be 1 day behind. But go ahead and boot the Arch Linux installation medium. I am doing this in a virtual machine. Really doesn't matter. We're going to go through the same process here. The one thing that might hang you up is using Wi-Fi to install Arch. And frankly, probably the best practice for installing Arch is to just plug into Ethernet. Even if you are installing on a laptop, plug into Ethernet to do the install, and then you can install Wi-Fi utilities. But if you are looking to do Wi-Fi, I'm going to link to a pretty good video that I found the last time I was trying to do, I was trying to install Arch on a MacBook, and it literally didn't have an Ethernet port, so I had to use Wi-Fi, and I found a video to use one of the more up-to-date Wi-Fi utilities in Arch that explains it way better and in more detail than I probably could. So I'll link to that right in the description. If you're using Wi-Fi, check out that video, and then come back right here, and you'll be all set. But first thing you need to do, make sure you have internet access, so we're just going to ping a website. I got one of those. And we're all good. Everything's going well. If you need to adjust your keyboard layout, this would also be the time to do that. That's not an issue for me, so we'll move right on into the actual Arch install process. And the first thing we need to do is make sure that the system clock is accurate. So we're going to do time, date, control, set -ntp true. And then what we need to do is partition some disks. So there's two different tools that you can use to do this in the Arch installation medium. You can use fdisk, which is a little bit more of a sort of very minimal command line type program. I think it's fine. It's a fine way to do it. But what I always like to tell people is use cfdisk. It's just a much more guided process. One other thing I should mention is that we're operating under the assumption that you're booting into Arch using a sort of standard BIOS and not going through a UEFI BIOS, just because usually even if your motherboard does have a UEFI BIOS, which most of them do now, you're going to have an option to boot just using a normal BIOS, and in my experience, that's the best way to go. You can boot using UEFI. I actually do on my main production system, but since we have to choose one or the other, I'm going to go with a standard BIOS because I think that'll serve the most amount of people. So assuming that's what you've done, once you open up CF disk, you're going to want to select DOS as the label type. And then what it'll do is it'll show you all of the disks in your machine. Now, you're usually only going to have one disk. Maybe people have more than one disk, but you can see right up here at the top of the app, it's going to list the disk that we're now editing is /dev/SDA. This is how everything works in Linux. You know, whether it's a hard drive or an actual literal file or something, it's going to be interpreted and we're going to manipulate it basically just like it's a file in some location. So all of our disks, almost always, I think in basically every Linux distro, are going to be in /dev/SDABC through the alphabet. Some drives will have a different label. NVMe drives, most of the time that I've used them, have a label that's like NVMe 1, NVMe 2, that type of thing. But what you're looking for most likely is going to be labeled as SDA, SDB, SDC, that type of thing. So in this case, what we're going to want to go ahead and do is I'm going to create two different partitions. I'm going to create a swap partition and a normal Linux partition. If you don't know what a swap partition is, you can do a lot of research about that. Basically, I'm not super scientific about it, but the swap partition that you set is going to depend a lot on the amount of RAM that you have in your system. Basically, I just set it to 8 gigs always. Something like 8 to 10 gigs is going to work pretty well for a swap partition. You know, if you have like only 4 gigs of RAM in your system, you're going to need extra space on a swap partition. So bump it up to 8. If you have 8 gigs of RAM in your system, just match it. If you have 16 gigs of RAM, well, you don't need as much space on a swap partition, so you can go down to 8 gigs. If you have over like 32 or 64 or something like that, you really don't need much of a swap partition at all. You probably should still make one of some size, but I think 8 to 10 gigs is probably a good size swap partition for just about everybody. So the size of our disk here is 60.6 gigs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit new. And what I'll do, just so we can be super easy, is I'll do maybe a 52 gig first partition. And then we're going to set the type to primary, and this is going to be our main Linux partition. So if you look over here at the very top bottom, our ID is going to be 83 and the type is going to be Linux. If that is not the case for you, what you want to do is down here on the bottom row, navigate over to type with the arrow keys, hit enter, and go through this list until you find type 83 Linux. And then down here at the very end, you're going to have an option bootable. Click on that. You see an asterisk pop up under boot. And then we can go down to the rest of our free space, hit new. It'll default to using the rest of your drive, hit enter, primary, and come over to type. And we want to choose type 82, which is going to be a Linux swap. And then once you have that, what we can go ahead and do is come down to the bottom, hit right, and then we're just going to type in yes. And we can go ahead and hit Q to get out of CF disk. Let me do LSBLK-F. And what you can see is it'll list out the drive on our system. The drive is SDA, and we've now created two partitions, one called SDA1, one called SDA2. SDA1 is our main drive, SDA2 is our swap partition. So what we want to do is we're going to do make file system in order to format the first partition so that we can actually store files on it. And if you just type in MKFS period and hit tab, you'll see all of the different options that Arch gives you by default for file systems in terms of drives. ext4 is, I think, what Arch sort of officially recommends you use on the Arch wiki. More recently, I've taken to using BTRFS or ButterFS, which should be slightly more secure. Is mainly the gist of what I got. I did a little bit of research about it, and I was going to try it out either way just to see how my system performed with a different file system, and so far it's been fine. So I'm going to stick around with ButterFS. So then what we need to do is just type in the location to our drive. If you remember from CF disk, all of our drives are going to be in /dev/something. We're going to go ahead and type in SDA because we know it's going to be SDA, and you see we're using tab complete. We can complete to SDA1 or SDA2. This is our first partition, our main Linux drive, so I'm going to do SDA1, hit enter, and everything will work. We don't have any errors. Then we just need to sort of format the swap drive. The way we can do that is we're just going to do make swap, and we're going to make it on /dev/SDA2, the second part of our partition now. Now we have to mount them. What you're going to do is mount, and we want to mount /dev/SDA1, our first partition, to /MNT, and then we can go ahead and do swap on /dev/SDA2. And from this point, we're actually good to go ahead and install Arch Linux using the pacstrap command. But before we do that, what a lot of people like to do is use a program called Reflector to download a mirror list so that we can download things a little bit faster. And I think that's probably a good way to go. So we're going to do pacman-s, and we want to install Reflector. And then we actually need another package called rsync in order for that to work correctly. Oh yeah, that's right. Before we do that, we need to do pacman-s to sync all of the repositories that we have access to. So we do that, then we run pacman-s, reflector, and rsync, go ahead and install both of those packages. And so now we can download a mirrorless. There's a few different ways that you can use Reflector. But I think probably the easiest way to do this is we're going to run Reflector, and we're going to do -- country or -C and give it a country code. In my case, I'm in the US. And then I'm going to do -- latest, and I want to say maybe give me the latest 20, and then I want to do sort, and I want to sort by rate, which should sort the fastest at the beginning, and then -- save, and we want to save it to /etc/pacmand/mirror list. Go ahead and run that, and this actually will take a bit, because basically what it's going to do is ping a whole bunch of different mirrors to try to find the fastest, and then organize a mirror list for us. Okay, so it looks like it's done now. If we wanted to, we could open up maybe, I think we probably have V on here, or we have Vim. So what we could do is we could run Vim, we could go into etc pacmand mirror list, and you'll sort of see what's happening here. It's basically built a mirror list. You can see there's 20 mirrors in here. Ideally, these are going to be sorted the fastest on top. These are all US mirrors, and it'll actually show you exactly what command you ran up here in order to generate this file, and it'll show you when you've done it. And in a bit, we'll mess with the config for Reflector so that this process will happen sort of automatically over time towards the end of the install, so that we never really have to jack with our mirror list again. Go ahead and quit out of this if you don't know how to exit Vim. Probably the easiest way to do it is type :Q. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and install software, which is the most fun. Officially, the way that you're told to do it on the Arch Linux installation guide is to run pacstrap on /mnt, which remember is where we mounted our main Linux drive. And you want to install 3 packages: base, Linux, Linux firmware. And this is good. You need all of these packages. There's a few different ways you can do it. There's a few different Linux kernels. You can install the LTS kernel, which is what Ubuntu uses. You can install the hardened or the Zen kernel, which are sort of supposed to be more security focused. Just keep in mind, if you do use a different Linux kernel like the LTS kernel or the Zen kernel, some of the other programs that you install, you might have to be a little more careful about what you're installing. For example, NVIDIA drivers. It matters very much which NVIDIA package you install based on which Linux kernel you install. So if this is your first time around, just use the standard Arch Linux kernel. There's nothing wrong with it. It'll work perfectly fine, and it'll make getting support a whole lot easier. So we're going to install base, Linux firmware, and then the other thing that we're going to need just immediately is we're going to need a text editor. So you can install Nano or Vim or NeoVim, whatever you're into. I'm a NeoVim guy, so I'm going to go ahead and install that, and that's probably good for now. We will go ahead and install Reflector, just because I want to make the point that when we installed them earlier, we were just installing them onto the actual installation medium. Only now, when we're running pacstrap on /mount, are we actually installing apps that are going to be on our final system when we boot. Which is why we had a text editor a minute ago when we opened up Vim to look at the mirror list. When we move over to our new mounted drive, as soon as we're done installing here, we're not going to have a text editor. Go ahead and hit enter, and I guess now would be a good time to mention that timer that you're seeing up in the corner of the video. Basically, I just thought maybe to add tension, it would be a good idea to add a timer, and then I started recording the installation, and I forgot that I decided I was going to do that, so I didn't remember to mention it until now. And we're basically just trying to see how quickly can I install Arch to get to a usable system. The download times are not going to be included in this, which is why the timer isn't going to be moving right now. But I don't know. I thought that would be interesting. Okay, we're done. So now we have installed Arch Linux onto our actual hard drive. And what we need to do is move over to that hard drive to start manipulating things. Right now, we're still in the actual Arch installation medium. We need to run gin fstab-u on /mnt and put that data into /mnt/etc/fstab. Once we've done that, we're actually good to go ahead and move off of the ISO onto our drive. So we're going to do arch -chroot onto /mnt. Our prompt will change, and we're onto the actual drive that we just installed Linux on. So first thing we need to do here is set a time zone. We're going to do ln-sf/usr/share/zone-info. And then if we go ahead and hit tab here, it'll list out all of the different countries that it has time zone support for. I'm going to pick the US here, probably a good idea. Hit /, hit tab, and it'll list out all of the US time zones. I am in the central time zone, and we're going to put that into /etc/locale time. What we just did is we created a link from a file in /user/share/zone-info/US central. And what this is doing is taking the central time zone info and then linking it to a new file we just created called local time, which is where Arch is going to look to figure out what our time zone is. From here, now that we have a time zone info, we can sync up our system time. So we're going to do HW clock /SYSTOHC system to hardware clock. We're syncing system clock and hardware clock. That one explains itself. And then what we need to do is generate locals. Two parts of that. First of all, we're going to use a text editor. We've got in Vim here, and we're going to go into /locale.gen. And in Vim, what you can do is you can hit slash and search for en_us. And then you can navigate using lowercase n. And what you want to do is find the line that's going to say en_us UTF-8. Go to the hash right in front of that, hit X to remove the hash. And then what you can do is you can just hit capitals Shift Z twice, and that'll save and exit Vim. And from there, what we want to do is run a command locale-gen. That one's going to give us output and tell us when it's done. Cool. And then what we need to do is we need to use in-vim one more time to go into /locale.conf and put in that info again. We're going to do language equals en_us. In my case, again, use whatever your country code is, and then just add .utf-8. Go ahead and capitals Shift Z twice again to save and exit. And if you listen closely, you can now hear my neighbors stomping upstairs, which they like to do all night long. So we're getting pretty close to the end here. Let's make a host name really quickly. We're going to do invim/etsy/host name. And we just need to type in the name for our system here. So I'm going to do pickled red onions. Save and exit. And then what we need to do is use invim again to go into /etsy/hosts. Make a new line. We're going to type in 127.0.0.1, hit tab, come over here. We're going to type in localhost. We're going to do ::1, 2 tabs, localhost, 127.0.1.1, tab again. And we're going to type in our host name, pickled red onions, dot local domain space, and then our host name one more time. So now we're getting really close to the end here. We're going to set a root password. We're going to install a couple more apps, and then we can set up grub so that we can actually reboot. So we're going to do password, PASSWD, type of password, make sure it's very secure and difficult to duplicate. And then we can go ahead and install some more apps here. So we're going to do pacman-s, and the first thing we need to install is something called grub. This is a bootloader. It's what's going to allow us to actually boot in our system. The next thing we need to install is DHCP-CD, which is what's going to allow us to turn on the networking, Ethernet, when we reboot. We need Git. We're going to do OpenSSH. We're going to install the base developer package as well as the Linux headers package. These are going to make sure that we can install the AUR later, and they're just generally helpful for building apps, which is something you will occasionally have to do. Maybe not necessarily, but more than likely might end up needing to build an app from source once or twice on Linux. And then something that a lot of people forget to mention is AMD U-code or Intel U-code. This is microcode that is going to, depending on your CPU, add support to Arch. Probably I think the reason people forget is you can skip this step a lot of the times and never really have a problem, but every once in a while things might start breaking, and there's a decent chance it's because you did not install the microcode for your CPU. So depending on what CPU you're using, AMD U-code or Intel U-code, I'm running Ryzen here, so AMD U-code. If you are unaware of that, whether you're using an AMD or an Intel CPU, I don't want to say that maybe you shouldn't be installing Arch, because that seems a little douchey. You know, certainly you could be really into software and not give a shit about hardware, but come on, you can figure out what kind of CPU you're running. I think that can be sort of the floor here. Yeah, that's probably enough. We'll go and install all that. Actually, maybe we'll go and also just install Xorg, because we're going to need that. So we'll hit enter. Gonna hit all again, hit yes. And this one's going to take a minute because we are installing quite a bit of stuff here. How many packages? Oh, 144. This is done. Okay, cool. Now we're going to make sure that we're good to reboot here. In order to do that, we want to do three things. Enable the reflector service, enable the DHCP-CD service, and set up grub. So first thing we can do is we're going to run grub -install, and we're going to do --target equals i386-pc on /dev/sda. Make sure you're not doing SDA1 or SDA2 here. We're not trying to install grub on a partition. We're trying to install it for the entire drive. Go ahead and hit enter. And this is going to give us an output here too, so we'll know whether we failed or not really quickly. Installation finished, no errors reported. As you may have assumed, that is a very good sign. And then we just need to actually make a config for grub. So we're going to do grub-make -fig -o onto /boot/grub/grub.cfg. Now we can move on to let's go ahead and enable DHCP/CD first. So we're going to do system control enable DHCP/CD.service. So if you forget to do this, it's not the end of the world. Just what you would have to do is every time you log into Arch before you can connect to the internet, you would have to do systemctl start DHCP/CD.service. So if you do forget to enable this, don't think you need to reinstall or anything, just run this command, and once you have DHCP/CD started, you can then run system control enable DHCP/CD.service, and you'll never have that problem again. Let's go ahead and do the same thing with Reflector, so that it's going to be catching new mirror lists all the time. Systemctl enable Reflector. I think actually it really just reflects updates in the mirror list whenever you restart. I believe is how it works. Don't hold me to that though. We're going to enable that service. And then really quickly before we reboot, last thing we need to do is we're going to go use a text editor, go into etsy/xdg/reflector/reflector.conf. And what are we doing here? So we want to just make sure that we're editing and making sure that everything is good to go here. So under --save, we want to make sure we're saving an etsy/pacmand/mirrorlist. Under protocol, HTTPS, that'll work fine. We can sort the mirrors by age. I suppose is actually the better way to do it, is what it recommends. I usually sort by rate when I'm running the command, but I guess they want you to do it by age. That's fine. It's saying it only wants to use the 5 latest synchronized mirrors, so I guess, no, give me 20. I don't know, 20 seems like a better number. And then here under the country, I'm going to go ahead and change that to US. You can list multiple countries if you're in Europe or something, and different countries are as close as different states here are for me. Exit and save, and we're good to go ahead and reboot here. Sudo power off or reboot or whatever. So now we are at a part where it's going to want the login. If you did not create a user account, which we did not, we're going to log in as root and then give it the good old root password. Now we're in. So I guess the first thing we should do is actually just create a user account. This is usually a good way to go. It's a really good way to go. It's a great idea, actually. Almost recommended. It's definitely recommended. Before I do that, though, I am going to do pacman, or let's cat out etsy/shells, which will tell us all the different shells that we have. We don't have Zeesh, which I thought Arch came with Zeesh for some reason. So I will do pacman-s and install Zeesh. Cat out etsy/shells again. You can see user/bin/Zeesh is installed now. So what we can do now is user add -m, which is going to create a home group. -g would add any additional groups, which we do want to do. And we want to add this user to the wheel group. I'll show you why in just a second. And then we want to use -s to select a login shell. And we're going to select /user/bin/Zeesh, which we just installed. And then we would just want to give this user a username, which is going to be Mac. And then we can go ahead and do password Mac. Give our user a password. Again, make sure it's very secure. It's a great idea. And probably good there. We just need to do editor equals invim, and then we want to do v sudo. Hit capital G to come down to the bottom of the file. And what we're looking for here are one of 2 different lines. The first one is going to be wheel all equals all, and the second one is going to be wheel all equals all, no password. What this is going to do is allow users of that wheel group, which we just added this new user to execute super user commands. And then you can also do it without a password. So what that means, that doesn't mean that you don't have to put in a user password or anything. It just means that like when you run like sudo pacman-s to try to install an app, you don't have to then type in a root password to install apps. You just are granted those privileges without having to provide the root user password again, because our OS is basically treating you not like you are the root user, but like you're friends with them. You're really good friends with them. They trust you. I do typically do wheel without a password just because, I mean, this is a home system. If I was trying to be like super secure or something, if it was a laptop, maybe not the best idea, but yeah, it's fine. Go ahead and exit here, and let's just go ahead and do sudo pacman-syu. Or no, you know what? Actually, what we should do is we should move to our new user now. So we'll go ahead and exit, and then we'll log in as Mac, give it the password, and then what we can do is we're going to do sudo pacman-syu just to make sure that all of the software that we have is up to date, and then we'll go crazy doing some other cool stuff. Okay, so there's nothing to do. Cool, that means everything's up to date, and we can go crazy here. So what I want to go and do is make a directory called repo, where I want to store my .files. If I list now, I have that directory. I can cd into that directory, and then what I'm going to go and do is I'm going to do git clone from https://github.com/mac/dot, which are my .files, which is what I use to customize a lot of the command line apps. And then I'm going to do latest one, I think is how you do it. Oh, sorry, no, that's not what I meant to do. I meant to do depth one, which should pull down just the most recent commits so that I'm not downloading the entire Git history, which again, if I was downloading this on a main production machine, I would want the entire history, but I don't here. I just want to download sort of the quickest version. And then what do we do? We'll go back into our home directory and do ls-la to list all of our files here. Now what we can do is link from that repo dot folder that I just created. So what I'll do is I'll do ln-sf and I'll link from repo .config and drop that into our home directory. And then I'll do the same thing with repo.scripts, drop it here. And you can see sort of what that's doing. If I list again, it's creating links so that we can access those files, but they're still Git controlled. So we'll do ln-sf from repo.git config maybe, link that here. And we'll do link up my Zeesh settings. That's always fun. And then if I actually do source.config/zeesh.zeeshrc, should be able to reload Zeesh now. And cool, we've got some prompts here. And then what do we need to do here? We need to go ahead and let's do set up the AUR. So we're going to do git clone https://AUR .archlinux.org/yay.git. Let that do its thing, then we'll cd into the yay folder. And then once we're inside of that yay folder, what we can do is make package-si, hit enter, and this is going to go ahead and build yay for us, and go ahead and give us the option to install it. And then finally, we can do our last pool of apps to get everything installed. So what we can do is sudo pacman-s, and we're going to install Awesome. We're going to need a browser. I'm going to do Firefox. We're going to need a terminal. I'm going to do Alacrity. Maybe I'll grab dmenu as well. And it's going to ask us to pick some fonts. Then we just let that install. It's going to be, again, it's another one of these sort of big package pulls, but shouldn't take too terribly long to install. One more thing I forgot to do, yay-s polybar. That's basically a guaranteed necessity for one of my setups. You know what I can compare Arch Linux to? Check this out. This is like my favorite thing I've ever bought. This is a Alden 405. This is the shoe that Indiana Jones wore, at least the original trilogy. It's a great shoe. And I mean, in theory, maybe it won't last your lifetime, but as long as you properly take care of that, it sort of ends the cycle of like, well, it's another year, so let me buy another shoe because I just walked through the other one I had. You know, you'll take it and get it resoled or put a new insole in it, or maybe get some rivets repaired or something in it every once in a while. I rip through laces all the time, tie it up real fast and destroy laces, but it's a great shoe, and Arch Linux is a great OS. Speaking of which, we are now ready to boot into what I would consider to be a usable version of Arch. So, 2 steps, listen closely here. Step 1, in Vim, create a new file called xinitrc. In this file, type in exec awesome, save and quit. Step 1.5, if running startx doesn't work for you, do yourself a favor and run sudo pacman-s, xorg, xinit, and xorg server. Every once in a while I run into that problem. Doing this fixes it. But now we can go ahead and run startx, and then let's go and do sudo pacman-s and install Fey so that I can set a wallpaper. And in the meantime, maybe we can open up Firefox here, and we can set GTK themes and stuff. For now, maybe we'll just download some wallpapers. If you're looking for something like that, I can help you out here. I've got a collection of sort of neon style, funky ass wallpapers you can download. I'll rep my own brand here just because I can. There we go, got a nice wallpaper now. And hey, you know what? This looks pretty good. There's a few things that aren't gonna work just because I'm in the VN, like transparency and stuff. PyCom doesn't work in the VM because I just don't have the settings set up right and I'm too lazy to fix it. But I mean, honestly, for the most part, this isn't a bad way to work here. I mean, I've got just about everything I need here. I mean, let's be straight. For most people, all you really need is a browser, and we got that right there. But, you know, if there's any other apps you can need, I'll just sort of collect them as I need them. I don't have like a mass list of stuff that I install on every new system or anything crazy like that. This seems like enough of an install that I'm happy saying like, okay, I can get to work now. I don't have to worry about getting stuff installed anymore. So I guess we'll call it quits. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you in the next one. Okay, I think that level's good. Maybe I can bump it up a little bit more. Yeah, that's probably fine. Hey, so a couple of things I need to change with that edit. You notice right here, I didn't notice it until we were watching it back, there's a little bit of a green bar that appeared at the end here. I think that's just because I paused at a weird point here, so I'm gonna pull this timer clip a little bit forward here. Switch to it. Set up here. There we go. And then I can, oops. Definitely not what I want to do. Trim the last bit again, freeze the frame and drag it out. And we can set G here, and we can set, didn't work. How was that? Try that again. And we can here, and we can here, and we can set G. We'll go the clip. I forgot how to do it. It was clip and then video options, and then I think add frame hold. For some reason that's making it jump really far ahead. Okay, whatever. Maybe the green bar can stay. I don't really want to mess with it all night. Okay, and then sometimes what I do is just add sort of the background music over the or under the entire video, which isn't too difficult. Let me delete that. Remark the in and out point so I can get the whole clip here. And then you can sort of just drag them in and need to lower the volume quite a bit of them. But like -30 and I can sort of listen to it and see what it sounds like. Keyboard layout, this, I can mute that. Oh. Okay, so that definitely sounds weird, but I think the sort of beginning and the end are on a similar rhythm, so I might be able to sync it up. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, so you can sort of watch the waveform and just sync up the different sort of hits in the audio so that it doesn't sound so odd. Let me bring the desktop audio up so you can hear this. So, like, if I just were to shove these two clips off just a little bit, it'll sound really off. But then if I'm able to sync them up at least reasonably well, it'll sound a lot better. There we go. So I think maybe I'll just do that for this whole video here. Is accurate. Okay, so what I can do is I honestly don't even need video preview for this. I can sort of do it blind just looking at the waveform. Drag that in. The volume to -25, -30-ish, which that's just a value that I know based on the level that I usually record my audio at. Not partition at all. And then what I want to do is sync up the waveform so that it doesn't sound ridiculous. Mute my audio again and take a listen. Yep, that sounds good. The Arch Linux and using the packstrap command. Actually good to go ahead and install the Arch Linux. I hate this mouse that I'm using. I'm a big fan of the MX Master Mouse. Oh, webcam's trying to autofocus. Let it try. Hey, there we go. Cool. Mine broke recently. It's trash now. It's something. I mean, to be fair, I've had it for like probably. That's the original MX Master Mouse. So I might have had that mouse for 5 or 6 years, maybe longer. So it lasted a while. I just haven't gotten around to buying a new one yet. And the mouse that I'm using now is fine. I just have to scroll a whole lot more than I want to. And it's annoying as hell. What this is doing is taking the central time zone info and then linking. Okay, I probably need 4 or 5 more. Okay. And then right here at the very end, I don't know if these are going to sync up very well or not. I might just have to sort of fade one out and one in. Or I might get lucky and they might sync up. That literally the last time that I did this, okay, yeah, these aren't going to sync up. So what I'll try to do is just fade one of these out over time. Hopefully that shouldn't sound too ridiculous to see and find out. And also I'm going to have narration over it, so almost definitely no one will notice, but I want it to sound clean-ish. Okay, that sounds kind of odd. Maybe I'll do a little bit of a... Or you know what? Here's what we can do. I can delete this keyframe and then just have this audio come in right at this cut here, which might be the best way to go. That shouldn't sound too bad. Let's see here. Okay, so that fades off. There's a little bit of silence. Okay, so with the narration, at least the original trilogy, is a great shoe. And I mean, in theory, maybe it won't last your lifetime, but as long as you properly take care of that, it sort of ends the cycle of like, well, it's another year, so let me buy another shoe because I just walked through the other one I had. You know, you'll take it and get it resold or put a new insole in it, or maybe... Yeah, that's fine. That'll work. Turn that back down. And... Okay, cool. So I think this is pretty much done. And it is tomorrow now. This is the day that I want to upload, so it's probably a good idea to go ahead and export and get this uploading. Like I said, it's 1080. I usually try to work at 4K, so the upload time is going to be super, super fast. I can show you the export settings, seeing as the export settings are honestly the main problem that I have with most Linux NLEs is the word that I'm looking for. Kdenlive in particular, terrible. Olive Video, all of those just have like, when it comes to like trying to export media, you want to specify a bitrate or something like that. Anything. It doesn't even need to be anything too complex. It's a joke. Premiere Pro, on the other hand, and Avid, and a lot of what I would consider to be professional NLEs, even Final Cut, if you use Media Composer, I think is the name of their app, you can specify bitrate. That's like really all I need to do. So I have a couple of presets here, 4K and a 1080 preset. And I mean, honestly, when you're exporting, I set everything to as high as possible. And then for 1080, the target bit rate is 8 megabits per second. And then for 4K, the target bit rate is 45 megabits per second. And then with Premiere, you can set a maximum bit rate, which I bump up a little bit higher. Where I'm getting this number from is if you look at the YouTube specifications for what bitrate they support, they have a bitrate for 60 FPS video and a bitrate for like 25 to 30 FPS video. So the target bitrate is what they set for 24 FPS video, which is what I always upload in. And then the maximum bitrate is what they have allotted for 60 FPS video, which I don't upload at. And what that should do is basically guarantee that I'm getting kind of the best quality possible without wasting time uploading stuff that I don't really need to upload. Just because, I mean, YouTube's always going to reprocess the video. You can reprocess the video. You could upload a video that's exactly the bitrate that YouTube wants. They'll still reprocess it. So this should guarantee that it's going to look good. So video is done. Thanks everyone for hanging out. I guess I can show you the thumbnail. I'm probably going to watch this video through one more time, and then I'll upload it and it'll be good. So these are all the revisions of the thumbnail that I did. It'll be live tomorrow. Really nice, simple thumbnail here, sort of a neomorphism type design. You can see the 3 different revisions that I did, just ended up making it super subtle over time. And then I've got these sort of social media story type thumbnails that I'm going to upload as well. So they'll end up on like Instagram or Snapchat or Twitter or something to sort of promote the video. But thanks everyone for watching the stream. I think I'm going to go ahead and end it, and then I'll export. And didn't mean to drag that onto the screen. And I'll see you guys tomorrow when I upload. Hope you enjoy the video. Peace. No, that's not my thing.